Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Cryptid Cocktail Party, a show where we have a few drinks, share a few laughs, take a dive into the unknown. I'm your host Dave, joined as always by my wonderful co-host Sarge. How's it going, Sarge?
What's going on? What's up? I'm California Sarge now because I was in California for a week.
All right, well, yeah, we'll get to that later. We're also joined by host of Chasing Legends on Paraflix, Nash Hoover. What's going on, man?
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, not a
Thanks
problem,
for coming
bud. Yeah. Nash, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. What's new with you? How's life? How are things going in your world?
Life's good. I mean, just living someone's dream. I mean, it's
That's the best answer to give after such a heavy sigh. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're doing good, man. Again, I really appreciate you coming on. I don't know how busy your schedule is, but I'm gonna make it seem like you're super busy all the time. Productions, all these things. So thank you, Sarge. What about California? What are you going on about?
So we recorded last Sunday, and then I got in a plane and went to California,
and
I stayed in the Four Seasons Hotel. My company paid for it, so let's not pretend that I have that money. I don't have Four Seasons money.
Okay. And how was it?
And for a brief period, I thought that I might be in a haunted room.
Ooh, okay. What happened?
Because my ice bucket kept like filling up. Like I would come home from work, I would drop my stuff, I'd go get dinner, I'd come back and my ice bucket would be full.
Okay, so you're talking about housekeeping.
Yes, yeah, no, exactly. But the thing is,
they got to hang a little sign on the door, man.
Housekeeping comes in twice, and that's what confused me.
Okay, but also you're staying at the Four Seasons. I feel like that's like a ritzy thing.
I mean,
but I'm a poor. I don't know that, and so it's true. I am. I'm broke. I'm broke as a joke. But I recall.
Oh God damn!
I recall discovering that housekeeping was coming into my room because at one point there was a cell phone charger that was all wrapped up, and it had a little Four Seasons cell phone charger wrap around it.
Okay, so what you're saying is that Four Seasons is the pinnacle of like.
Yes, and I also recognize that my economic status made me not see this as great service, but instead paranoia. Why were they in my room? What were they looking for?
Buddy's just tweaking.
Terrified.
Sarge, I'm going to have to revert you back to our episode on gang stalking so that you can try and quell these fears, all right?
But no, it was great. I really did try to get to Fresno while I was there, but I was in LA and apparently Fresno's like 3 hours away.
Yeah, you don't realize how big California is until you're in it.
Exactly.
Because I remember when we went to San Francisco, I was like, oh, I'm going to go to all these different places. And I was like, nope, fuck all that. We have a rented car. That's like 800 miles away. I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to go see the Fresno Nightcrawler like stuff that they have in Fresno. And it just...
wanted to roam around that dude's front yard.
Yeah. I wanted to go stand next to that tree that looks really big, but is actually tiny.
It's a very tiny tree. Yeah. All right.
Anyway,
well, before we dive into today's topic, Nash, for those listening who don't know who you are, what your show is, why don't you just give us a brief little rundown? I have a couple questions, but we can wait till the end to do those so we can get through this episode. But yeah, you have the floor. Sell yourself.
Well, I am Nash Hoover. I am a cryptid enthusiast, host of Chasing Legends, currently on Paraflix, producer, filmmaker, husband, dad. You want to know my credit score and Social Security number 2 over at it? Or?
What's your mother's maiden name?
Just your social will be fine.
But you've been at this for, what'd you say? You said since 2013, something like that.
Yeah, 2013 is when we created the show, and then I've been researching cryptids since like 2002, 2003.
Oh Jesus Christ! So what got you into that? Like you were just like saw like something about like Nessie, and you're like, oh shit, that's my fucking jam right there.
I mean, I was in elementary school at the time, came across a book about Bigfoot and was kind of intrigued because I was kind of big into wildlife at the time, watching a lot of Corwin and Irwin, and just kind of was intrigued because I was like, oh, there's this, primate species that's being seen in North America that in a place we don't have native primate species, and it's
Yeah.
kind of weird. So then, it kind of intrigued me, and then I started. I got into Loch Ness and UFOs, and then as around that time, or not long after that, is kind of when paranormal TV kind of started to get big, and then shows like Monster Quest and Destination Truth and stuff like that came out. So I was able to kind of broaden the kind of global horizon and realize that this is a much bigger phenomenon than it's I was kind of under the impression.
Yeah.
Can I ask you? Would you personally classify aliens in like the same vein as cryptids?
No.
Okay.
See, that's always a question I had also, but because I wouldn't at all. I feel like it's two wildly different things.
Yeah. Like we talk about those things, but we don't put them together.
Yeah. I see. Yeah. It seems to be a lot more recently where there's a lot of people that are roping like clear, like extraterrestrial things in with cryptid stuff. And it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
To me, at least.
So to bounce off that real quick. So it's a long standing tradition on this show that we just don't believe in Bigfoot. See, but here's the thing. I did back when Bigfoot was just a hairy primate living in the woods of North America.
Yeah, and now it's a
and now it's an interdimensional alien and all this stuff, and I feel like the reason why is because they can't prove it exists, so that now they have to find reasons why they can't prove it exists. So they're like, well, clearly it phases in and out of existence, or the UFOs beam it up. That's you look so distressed.
You look so mad at us.
The biggest headache of mine is these like communities that kind of specify on one cryptid overall.
Yeah,
like these communities that just seem like all they want to do is shoot themselves in the foot and make them seem like the craziest people you possibly can.
Right.
Yeah. The Bigfoot community is really kind of gone the route of the paranormal community where they just
it's
feel
too
like
much.
they
Like
need
any
to
piece
come out with the craziest theories to justify
why there's no evidence or anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I agree with that because I, growing up, was like very big into paranormal stuff. And then I got really excited when those ghost documentary shows would come out. And not documentaries, you know what I mean? Like the reality TV travel channel kind of thing. Yeah. And then you'd clearly see like dust going across the screen and just catching like a little bit of light. And you're like, oh, that's clearly a dust particle. And they're like, it's a ghost
dude. What are you talking about?
It's like,
those are orbs, dude.
I'm like, come on. Like, stop it. So I get what you're saying because like they'll find a tree with a little bit of bark off it. And they're like, this is clearly Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. And it's like, or it's a tree is dying or the tree is going to fall down soon.
Don't stand too close to it.
There's a dude, I won't say his name. I mean, I doubt he listens, but I always see him post stuff on cryptid groups on Facebook where I think he's in British Columbia, but he finds like pieces of, waterlogged bark on the beach and it's kind of rigid. And he's like, oh, these are clear chew or claw marks from the creatures I've been tracking. But then he doesn't elaborate on what he thinks they are. And it's like and then I'll see them on every page. Everyone's like, dude, what are you talking about? But then he doesn't like comment or he doesn't like feed into it.
Yeah. And like, I want to know how they know what the mating call of Bigfoot sounds like. How do you know that?
Because Bobo from Finding Bigfoot or whatever.
Yeah. Oh God. Whoops. I know.
I think that's what it is. Something like that. Anyways, all right, before we get too deep in the weeds,
I'm glad we're on the same page, Nash. I'm glad we're on the same page.
We're getting sued now. I'm just ruffing feathers.
All right. We're already 9 minutes in, but I did have one more question. So you've done a lot of searching and expeditions trying to find different cryptids or at least evidence or proof or something along those lines in your travels. Was there ever anything that you ever have an idea for like an episode or a series where you go to find something and you're like, I know this is a folkloric story. I know this technically probably doesn't exist, but you had to go do it anyways because people wanted to see it, or maybe you were yourself were curious?
Yeah, most of the time.
Okay, most of the time. All right, good.
Oh, all right. That makes me feel sorry. So basically, would you say you're more skeptic than believer, or like, is it one of those deals?
I've always classified myself as an open-minded skeptic. But just because like you have to be like, I
mean, that's what we are when it comes down to it. Like,
yeah.
Like I want these things to be real, but I'm also not willing to embarrass myself by pretending that waterlogged bark is evidence of Bigfoot. Like I want enough evidence to disprove like a true skeptic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what our approach is that we kind of cover both sides. We explore biological stuff and then the cultural aspects of whatever. So like the folkloric stuff. And then we kind of find, in our mental pie chart and figure out where they kind of meet. And then that's kind of where we, kind of focus our efforts on. And then, it's, we've always, and it kind of makes sense in our own way, but it's, we don't look at we don't kind of go after these things to prove whether they exist or don't exist. We go after it to see if it's possible, and trying to like just sift through the nonsense to see if we can figure out, and some of these it's, are more likely than not, misidentifications or just, people jumping on the I Seen It Too bandwagon. But it's like the Montauk monster that turned out to just be like a dead raccoon.
Yeah.
Some of these gain a lot more traction than they need to, in my mind.
That's fair.
All right. Well, that's kind of a perfect segue into what we're going to be talking about today, because it is kind of a mixture of like true belief and folklore, I guess. Today, gentlemen, we're going to be discussing one of the most requested topics by our listeners, and by that I mean like 3 people messaged me saying we should like do this. But
3 out of our literal tens of listeners. Wow.
It's a good chunk.
Yep.
But to do that, we are going to be heading to a region of the world that we have yet to cover on this show, and that, good sirs, is Africa. So
let's do it.
We're gonna set the stage for this topic a bit. So
we were gonna play Toto's Africa during this, but could not get the rights.
I fucking wish. But
I heard you say deep in the Congo, so there's only so many routes you can go. So let's go.
So deep in the Congo River Basin, in the swampy, mosquito-infested wilderness where hippos and crocodiles lurk beneath the surface, the local people have passed down stories for generations about a massive, mysterious, and violently territorial creature. Mokele-Mbembe. I assume you guys are familiar with it.
Oh God, yeah.
Very.
Okay. Oh man.
I've got some theories on this one, boys.
This was the cryptid that got me into cryptids. This was the one, because I loved dinosaurs as a little kid.
I did a whole presentation back in September, and this was one of the big talking points.
Great. So I have an expert on something that I bullshitted for about like an hour. Fuck me, dude. Oh, I regret every decision I've made.
And I could take this down the creationist route if you want, because they really want this to be real.
We'll get there. Okay. Now, Mokele-Mbembe, which translates to the one who stops the flow of rivers, awesome name, is described as being roughly elephant-sized with a long, slender neck with grayish brown skin. It's basically like a smaller brontosaurus. It's a dinosaur. It's a straight up fucking dinosaur, essentially.
The sauropod.
Whatever, dude. Same thing, bro. All right, dude, getting technicalities.
Nash, never stop fact checking.
I fully.
I'm gonna watch Dave's meltdown in real time.
Now, while it is vegetarian, so it doesn't like eat people, it is very much like Shrek from the 2001 hit motion picture Shrek, where it's very territorial of its swampy domain. So it will straight up murder you if you decide to enter it. It's been known to capsize boats, trample fishermen, or just kill you out of spite because it can. It's pretty much kind of like that.
So it's a hippopotamus.
Hold on. Now, the people that live in these areas near the Mokele-Mbembe stomping grounds, pun intended, to them, this legend is very real, many of whom claim to have either encountered it themselves or heard its bellows from the jungle or seen its massive prints on the swampy shores. So how Mokele-Mbembe went from localized legend in small tribes in the Congo to become easily one of the more well-known folkloric cryptid creatures in the world. Well, we're going to have to go back a little bit. So the first written mention of something resembling Mokele-Mbembe dates all the way back to 1776. God bless America. Now, while George Washington was busy crossing the Delaware to give those dirty redcoats what for, a French missionary named, I don't know how to pronounce this, Abbe Proyart. I'm going to go with that. I don't speak French, so that's as good as it's going to get. He was in Africa writing about mysterious clawed footprints found in the Congo that were roughly the size of dinner plates. Now, I wrote insert a joke about Sarge's nipples here, but I think the listeners can probably already do that themselves.
Store-bought pepperoni.
Now, these tracks were definitely not from any animals local to the region. These prints had deep impressions and widely spaced claw marks, suggesting a massive, heavy creature. Now, fast forward to 1909, and we got big game hunter Carl Hagenbeck claiming that he's heard stories of a quote-unquote half-elephant, half-dragon living in the swamps of the Congo. Now, Nash, you're an explorer of sorts, I assume. If you were alive in 1909 and someone's like, yo, there's dragons in there, are you going? Are you doing it? Are you going to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Who wouldn't go?
No, dude, I'm not fucking with a dragon. In 1909, we're so far removed from dragons that at that point, I'd be like, no, I'm good, man. It's all good.
No, I'm going. I don't want to get burned. So like I'll bring a jacket or something, but I'm going to go check it out.
Just embrace the malaria, boys. Let's go.
Yeah.
Now, but even though Hagenbeck never saw the creature himself, he took these stories as proof that dinosaurs were still alive, roaming around in the Congos. Then there's the 1913 account of Captain Ludwig Fryer von Stein zu Lauschnitz, which, first of all, I fucking hate this name. I'm never going to say it
like down with the names. Calm down, bud.
Say it like that again. This guy was a German officer sent to survey Cameroon when he heard from locals the stories of Mokele-Mbembe. He described it as huge, long-necked, elephant-sized, and aggressive. So you have to remember, like, the locals, they're not describing this as like a ghost or like a water demon or some sort of spirit, but this is like an actual like flesh and blood animal that lived alongside them. So it's kind of like how when we cover like the Wendigo or the Kalupalik, like those they know are like evil spirits. This to them is like a full on flesh and blood creature. Now, the captain documented that some tribes outright refused to fish in certain areas of the rivers, believing that the creature would attack their boats on sight. While he never personally saw it, Ludwig found the consistency of the accounts compelling. His reports ended up being buried in colonial archives for decades, but when they surfaced, cryptozoologists latched onto them as one of the strongest early quote unquote scientific sources of the beast.
Of course they did.
So it's like an Indiana Jones situation. He turned in those reports and they were like, it's being looked at by top men.
Okay. Nash, so far, how am I doing? I'm gonna revert to you as the expert on this. So.
Nash, you just want to take over the episode? Let us know where we're going wrong here. I'm actually kind of surprised because I genuinely thought that this was kind of like a folklore creature, like something to be revered and worshipped, not just there's this elephant-like animal.
So you just you wait until I'm given the floor, bud.
Okay, I'm ready.
I just gave you the floor and you just said good job. So I mean that's on you, buddy. All right,
Dave,
so
you're okay. Got it.
He missed his mark. He has to be quiet for the rest of the episode now. Now, in 1932, cryptozoologist Ivan T. Sanderson reported seeing a dark, massive shape in a river in Cameroon. He swore it was some unknown animal, but it disappeared before he could get a good look. So
it could have also been a large poop. Let's be real.
What do you got? Just say you interrupt at any time. Sarge does, obviously.
All right. So
oh God, he's stretching for it. I hate this.
So in the Congo, and this was part of the presentation I did. In the Congo, there was a now extinct subspecies of black rhinoceros that used to live in the Congo River Basin.
Hold on, wait.
And this is more than likely what people have been seeing.
So I get into that. Just wait. Now, before we get too into the weeds talking about evidence and sightings and the expeditions, which we'll cover, let's bring some science into the mix, guys. You fucking ready to hear what these nerd-ass scientists got to say about this shit?
Yeah, stupids.
The reality is, and I hate to say it, there's zero physical evidence that Mokele-Mbembe is real. There's no bones. There's no giant poops. The footprint evidence is flimsy at best. And biologists say that an animal like Mokele-Mbembe, which is essentially a dinosaur, would need to have a breeding population of hundreds to avoid extinction, let alone to last as long as these people are saying that it's been around. And yet there's nothing. Some scientists think locals might be seeing swimming elephants, which, to be fair, if you've never seen an elephant swimming, it's kind of a nightmare. They're surprisingly strong swimmers, and when they cross rivers, only their trunk sticks out of the water like a fleshy snorkel.
Band name.
Yeah. but like, dude, all right. So imagine you're just like, it's like dusk, there's a thick jungle mist, and you just see this fucking thing like wading through like a river or a lake. Like, you're gonna think it's a fucking something. It's not
like
an
the monster in the trash compactor in Star Wars.
100%. Kind of like that. But that's what you would think, like, no question.
Yeah.
Other scientists suggest hippos or crocodiles, which maybe that doesn't make any sense to me. Neither of them have a long neck, but whatever. They don't really fit the bill the same way like an elephant swimming does. Others think the legend is just a distorted memory of animals that used to live in the region, like the now extinct black rhino. There was this one time where researchers showed locals a lineup of animal drawings.
I was literally going to get to this.
And
I was just waiting.
And the locals pointed to the rhino and were like, yo, that is Mokele-Mbembe. And the scientists like, oh,
son of a bitch.
That sucks for you guys. I don't know what to tell you. Nash, do you want to expand on this at all? I'm sure you got maybe
That's it. That's why. That's me. That's basically the hardest evidence you need. It's there is still belief too that this given that the Congo is like impossible to like fully survey, that they believe that the subspecies could still very well be alive in some numbers in the Congo, which would explain some of the more modern sightings.
Yeah.
I mean, and to be fair, the like the fucking like the gorilla, like for the longest time was considered a cryptid, and because where it lives is so dense that like we just couldn't get to it for a long time until we did, and now we have that we always had, but now we have gorillas.
Yeah.
Just because science isn't convinced doesn't mean people have stopped looking. In the last 100 years, over 50 expeditions have tried to track this thing down. Can you guys guess what they found?
Nothing. Malaria.
It's mostly malaria. Lots of people got sick. One of the most famous expeditions was the 1980 Roy Mackal expedition. Mackal was a biologist who was 100% convinced that Mokele-Mbembe was real. He and his team interviewed dozens of locals, all of whom described the creature the same way: long neck, big body, lives in swamp. They attempted to use sonar equipment in the murky waters of Lake Tele. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I'm going to assume that I'm 100% on point. Hoping to detect large underwater movements. And while they did pick up some unidentified disturbances beneath the surface, the results were inconclusive.
Yeah.
And even though,
yeah, because it's not there. It's a hippopotamus.
And even though Mackal and his team didn't actually see or even really find anything, Mackal, he walked away more than convinced than ever. Like this thing exists because, of course, if you're gonna put that much money into something, you have to just firmly believe that it's still there.
Honestly, this is why I love believers. They'll go somewhere, get no evidence, and be like, I believe it now more than ever.
It's fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, you can't cover every inch of any area, and I've been more than happy to kind of say this at the end of some of my episodes. Like, we're in we're the area we're searching is a drop in the, primordial bucket of this wilderness. Like,
yeah,
it probably, if this thing's out here, it was more than likely somewhere else.
But at the same time, like Dave said, the population you would need to breed this creature.
Oh yeah. For it to be a sauropod, 100%.
You would have to see at least one of them at some point, or some real evidence that couldn't be, explained by elephants.
Yeah,
hippos, rhinos.
And that's not the only thing that makes it biologically impossible.
Right.
but also, you're not considering the fact that this thing could also be interdimensional, aliens.
All right,
I don't think anyone's considered that point.
That explains why all the photographs are blurry.
Exactly. It's because it's a ray shield, like a force field.
Took a picture of this in the 70s. Why isn't it clearer?
All right, but continuing on with the expeditions, we got Herman Regusters, a former NASA engineer who spent a month at Lake Telly. I just don't know how to pronounce this fucking name. Nash, how do you pronounce this lake's name?
It's close enough.
Well, he was there. He was there for a month in 1981. He claimed that his team actually saw Mokele-Mbembe several times during their time there. By Herman's estimations, the creature was about 30 feet long with a thick, powerful tail and a long, flexible neck. Now, they took photos, made plaster casts of footprints, and recorded mysterious roars. Now, that sounds awesome, right? That's a lot of evidence. The problem is,
it was all made up.
Yeah,
his photos were crazy blurry and didn't show anything. The footprints were never confirmed, and the sounds... Well, do you want to hear the sounds? I have the sounds.
Were the gorillas?
I have the sounds.
Oh,
so,
I need to hear this.
Okay, so
elephants.
The original audio is kind of garbage, but I was able to find a cleaned up version courtesy of the YouTube channel Crash Course Cryptozoology.
Carrick!
And it sounds a little bit like this.
Can we hear that again? Okay, so it does sound like a whale. I'm not crazy.
No, it sounds like the bloop. Like, remember the bloop?
Yep.
But I mean, it's pretty spooky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, some scientists say that this is just hippos or maybe elephants, but in that Crash Course video, he compares the pitch and frequencies of Herman's recordings against recordings of elephants and hippos, and they don't really line up. But
it's because Carrick's a madman and he deep dives everything.
Yeah, but one animal sound that it did line up with, and the one that I think is responsible for the sounds, is giraffes.
In the Congo?
Now, specifically, this is nocturnal giraffe humming. Now, nocturnal. So I didn't know this, but apparently giraffes, when at night, they hum kind of like to each other as like a night. I don't know I really don't understand why they do it, but at night they'll hum to each other. And it sounds like this, and it's a nightmare. And if I didn't know what was making this sound, I would throw myself 2 lions to escape whatever it was that I thought was coming from me. Now he compared these 2 sound frequencies, and they match up almost perfectly. But this is what it sounds like. It's awful, and I hate it.
Sound like dirt bikes.
I don't want to be crude here, but that sounds like somebody farting into a tuba.
I hate this so much.
It reminds me of my wife had never heard of what the Tasmanian devils sound like, and I'm like, oh boy, here you go.
It's like people finding out what a Fisher cat sounds like.
Yeah,
dude.
It's just a series of screams in the night.
Oh, dude, I used to live in this area in New Hampshire. It was by Stratford County Prison, and there was Fisher cats all out back. And if you didn't know what it was, you would think like a woman was getting murdered in the woods behind your house.
Yeah,
Fisher cats
awful.
are terrifying. Tasmanian devils also terrifying, but also they're super cute, and I would try and pet one because I'm a nightmare.
Me too.
Human.
It would kill me, but I'd do it.
Yeah. Almost forgot. So this last expedition, there was a 2001 BBC expedition where they literally just went to the region and asked some pygmies like, "Hey, is Mokele-Mbembe real? And this one guy said, oh yeah, totally. Fucking no question. And BBC was like, that's all we needed to hear. And then they just bounced. They're just like, that's it. So where does this leave us? Is Mokele-Mbembe real? Possibly surviving dinosaur, an aggressive hippo, maybe a misidentified elephant? Honestly, I don't know. But I do know is that what I do know is that the legend isn't going anywhere, whether it's a real undiscovered creature or just an amazing folklore tale or a misidentified, whatever. People want to believe in the unknown. And really, that's like half the fun of these types of stories. Now, do I have my own theories? Sure. I personally don't think Mokele-Mbembe is a real flesh and blood creature. Even if it is a misidentified rhino, the idea behind it is kind of like the Kalupalik, the Wendigo, or the Kappa. It's like an allegory or a cautionary tale. Like in this case, the Mokele-Mbembe is used to pretty much like warn people about the dangers associated with swamps, rivers, lakes in the region, things that there's so many things in there that could fuck you up. Like, why wouldn't you use something like this to try and dissuade people from going into regions where you know it's dangerous, whether it's going to be like a fucking hippo that'll flip your boat, crocodile, something to keep you away from where you shouldn't be, I guess. But that's just me.
In cryptozoology.
Yeah. So,
but I think it's also coupled with misidentified creatures that they are seeing.
For sure.
100%. That's
just reinforcing the story.
95% of the time.
Yeah. It's like when I'm out with my kids and they're like, Dad, what's that? And I'm like, it's a dragon, probably. Like they didn't know. They were just trying to give them an answer that would satisfy and offer no further questions.
Yeah, but there you have it, guys. That is a very boilerplate version of the story of Mokele-Mbembe. Nash, anything you want to add to this or your feelings, thoughts, concerns?
Yeah, I mean, you covered all the points I would have brought up. I mean, I think I buy into the black rhinoceros.
Yeah.
As a being, especially when, the side by or the kind of lineup of animals in the Congo was kind of like the nail in the coffin for me, where it's just like, yeah, that's what we're seeing. Like, all right, like,
problem solved.
I just want to know how do you confuse a rhino with a dinosaur?
Sauropod.
I'm just throwing that out there. It seems a little weird, but I mean, I guess like there's many tales of people seeing. It's like the case of the Kraken and whale penises. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the giant squid, but really they're seeing fucking whale dicks flopping around in the ocean. Like maybe it's something like that. Like you see one aspect of like maybe they just saw like the back of it or like the body of it moving through brush, and at the same time something up in the tree like moved, so they assumed it was like one big creature and not two separate instances of things happening simultaneously.
Yeah, and then like who knows if it's like they were these pygmies were out in the jungle and they get charged by this thing, and you said they just see part of it and they just their mind fills in the rest.
Yeah, they conflate. Also,
like everything is
two
big
different
to
like
a pygmy.
things happening. What was that, Sarge? What?
I said also everything is big to a pygmy. Like they're smaller people.
I don't.
It's also what I also find intriguing about all this is that these are at least back late 1800s, late 1900s. These were a group of people that wouldn't have necessarily known what dinosaurs were.
That's true,
right?
So for them to describe a dinosaur is weird in itself, but when you take into account all these other factors, it's like that's
that makes a lot of sense too, because just a misinterpretation. For them, it might have been, a creature with a long neck, but it wasn't like super long. It was just like longer than the other animals they're familiar with.
Yeah, longer than what they're used to in terms of the wildlife that they're familiar with, encountering on the daily.
Yeah, but then over the course of years, or even like word of like we see it all the time with
it's like telephone.
It started out with like it was just like a foot or two, and then over the course of a few years, it's a 10-foot long neck and a massive body. Like, you see it all the time when it comes to like these folkloric stories. It's crazy.
And it's actually, so if you'll indulge me for just a moment, I just have to
Always.
talk about this because it's so funny to me.
Oh yeah, so Sarge want to talk about the creationist theory of Mokele-Mbembe.
So I'm not a religious person, and I'm not trying to attack anyone else's religious beliefs, but there is a guy out there who is a complete moron named Kent Hovind, and I will say his name because he's an idiot. Okay. He's such an idiot that even the like luminaries in the creationist space have completely disavowed him because he's so dumb.
That's
and he
crazy.
wanted to go to Congo.
Dude, go.
To see, to like try and find this creature because it would prove his moron theory that humans were walking around with dinosaurs.
It's not like the crazy. It's a theory, but when you hear it come from a creationist, it just sounds even crazier.
Well, he also believes that the Grand Canyon was formed in like a week.
Oh, and then it's a old copper mine or something like I've seen.
Yeah. Well, no, he thinks it was formed by Noah's flood.
Okay.
And that the Earth is only 6,000 years old.
We don't know that it's not.
There's theories that can go. I haven't heard anything like this with the Grand Canyon, but there's definitely theories about certain large gorge features in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
Definitely looks like they were formed pretty instantaneously by large flow of water, which we won't get into that.
Right.
That's a whole nother.
The thing is, Kent doesn't use any evidence for this. He's just a moron. Like, there's creationists that have compelling arguments.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about the topic to accurately try and attempt to debate this, but Kent definitely doesn't know enough about the topic to debate this because I've watched a number of debates where he just gets demolished and his only response is, well, I'm not related to a strawberry. And that's it.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
All life forms are essentially believed to have come from single cell organisms, right?
Yeah, but
eukaryotes. That's why we're all classified on the higher levels as eukaryotes. And then we, supposedly evolved further down according to evolutionary science. His whole argument against evolution is not like against his religion or anything else. He's like, I'm not related to a pine tree. And you're like, well, that's not the same thing, Kent. It's not the same thing, buddy.
I hate it here.
Yeah. And he wants to go find this dinosaur in the Congo, but he's also like wildly racist.
Oh, right. I mean, as they usually are.
So I'm like, please don't go to the Congo. I don't want them to think all Americans are like you.
You know what's in the Congo, bud?
Yeah.
To be fair, it took me a long time to figure out whether saying pygmies or not was racist, and I'm glad it's not. I was afraid to type that into the script. But I would also be fair. I would also be scared to use that. But I did happen to just find out recently that that's okay to say. Yeah. To that guy's credit, though, there are those fossilized footprints. I don't remember where they are, but it's the dinosaur and human footprints next to one another.
Yeah, in the same layer. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not knocking it, but I'm all. Yeah,
I am.
All right.
I'm gonna.
All right. So, but that's all we got for today's episode. I think it went pretty well. I don't know, Nash, you got any pointers, any tips? Or you think no notes? Hell yeah, dude. All right.
No notes.
You looked when we first started. I saw you rubbing your head, and I was like, "Oh no." He's very worried about what's going to happen.
I was worried about what was going to happen. He did a presentation on it. I'm an asshole who's half drunk right now talking about a dinosaur in the Congo. This man's on TV and I do this. So, I was a little worried. All right, Nash, is there... Normally I'd open up the floor to Sarge, and I will after this. But is there anything you want to plug? Anything you got going on? Obviously, you got your show, but, plug away. Take as long as you want. I genuinely don't care.
We're Chasing Legends on Paraflix, and 4 episodes on there, and then there's another 3 on YouTube. Older ones.
Nice.
ChasingLegendsCrew.com.
Cool.
Hit me up.
And if they want to follow you on your social medias, where can they find you?
It's at Nash Hoover, all one word.
All right, and then you also got at Chasing Legends, I believe, on
At Chasing Legends Official.
At Chasing Legends Official. Oh shit, dude! All right.
Yeah, if you ever come up here to look up the Bridgewater Triangle, try and track down some puckwudgies, let us know.
So he did
Done
he was
already.
he was already up
I
in
know,
your
do it
area.
again.
I don't want to do it again.
Wow. Bridgewater left that bad an impression on you. Yikes.
Last time I was in Massachusetts, Brockton almost killed me, so I'm good.
Oh,
right,
that was your mistake. You went to Brockton.
Fair,
Don't go to Brockton.
Don't go to Brockton.
Never go to Brockton.
That was your
Yeah,
first
I wish I would have been
mistake.
told that before I booked the Motel 6 in Brockton.
Oh God,
Oh my God, man.
Yeah.
bro!
Didn't the 1 star on Google give it away?
Bro, we
Were you not almost stabbed 100
so
times?
my whole mindset behind it was, we just need somewhere to stay. I've never had a bad Motel 6 experience. I'm sure it's fine. And then we got there and it was just like from the minute basically from the word go, it was just terrible. And then we all sat around on our phones and looked at reviews and we're like, what have we done?
So
And you have like
yeah,
expensive filming equipment.
Yeah. I had never checked out of a hotel room in the middle of the night before.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad was the scabies when you left that Motel 6? Because I can only imagine.
Luckily, we came out of there unscathed.
Yeah.
But
I'm
it
so
was
sorry.
yeah, it was a fun time. Luckily, there was a Residence Inn that was like half an hour away. Then they were like, we basically told them what we were dealing with, and they're like, we have one room. It's a single king bed. There's a pull-out couch, and I'm like, there's 5 of us. We'll deal with it. Yeah. Like.
Oh, Nash.
Bro, I am so sorry.
Man, you need a local
happened.
guide next time. Try and find somebody. Hire someone to tell you not to go to Brockton.
Well,
Now I know.
so when I was messaging Nash on Instagram about the show and like all this stuff, we talked about your Puckwudgies episode and how I said you should do a redo of it, like a follow up, because there's one part of the legend that you left out, and that was that the god.
There's a lot we left out, man.
Yeah, like there's the ones where the native god picked up the Puckwudgies, shook them like a can of beer, then threw them across all of New England. That needs to be included, but also
amazing little hand grenades,
dude. But I didn't know you didn't mention the Brockton thing, and now it's like, oh fuck, dude, don't ever go back to Massachusetts.
Well, we filmed it all. Everybody, I think the couple of the guys filmed it on their filmed everything as it was happening on their phones, and we were gonna use the footage, and we were just like, this is too insane. Let's just omit it so we forget it forever. But yeah, that was a long.
Wow.
I haven't looked to see if that is still open or not, because I filed basically because they wouldn't give me my money back. Like, they fought me on it.
Really?
And I called and eventually got through to somebody, and the guy, and they're like, yeah, we'll send this over to whomever. And I got a call from a guy, and he's like, listen, if I'm calling you about this matter, it means we're taking incredibly serious what happened. And I basically broke down everything to them, and he's just like, oh my God, okay, we'll take care of this. Like, here's your money back, no questions.
Unbelievable. Dude, yeah, I'm so sorry. Like we joke a little bit, but like Brockton is like that place where Simba asks Mufasa, like, what about that area over there?
The shadow area, yeah.
That's Brockton, Simba. You must never go there.
There's a band from Brockton called Colin of Arabia, and their singer is insane, and he would wrap chains around his fist and punch people in the face when playing shows in Brockton. It is not a great area.
Don't go there.
But with but at least you went to the Bridgewater Triangle and you didn't get sued by Lorne Coleman. So that's
oh my God, Lorne Coleman.
So
he's everywhere.
He's a nightmare. He coined the term Bridgewater Triangle. Did you know that? He's going to sue us now for saying it. Sarge, is there anything you want to plug before we sign off?
Yes. The coloring book is still live. You can get it. We've talked about it a million times. But sargessupernormal.com. Get the coloring book. It's like a little activity book too. There's a lot of pages though, so it's good. It's worth the $9.99, I promise. And then, Dave, we got to talk about the new logo.
Oh, yeah, we got a new logo. We got a new podcast art. It's pretty good. It's pretty metal as fuck. Probably gonna put on a t-shirt soon. Who knows? But we also got new intro music coming soon from this band called Killed by a Yeti. It's kind of like a new chapter in this show. So me and Sarge have been doing this show together for almost a year, but everything that we have, the artwork, the music, it's all dated. It's all pre-Sarge. So we're starting new, starting fresh.
I appreciate that.
It's
also, Drink Narragansett Beer. They're our sponsor, and we should be calling them out from time to time.
Yeah, it's fine.
You gotta pay the bills.
Exactly. Yeah, they pay us in years' supplies worth of beer,
which is fine. That's enough.
If you guys want to follow us, it's at Cryptid Cocktail on Instagram, Cryptid Cocktail Party on TikTok. We have a Patreon. We got one tier. It's $3 a month. That's just to support the show. $7 a month. You get unedited video episodes of the show. And then, once we get some stickers and pins made, stuff like that, we'll be sending it out to patrons as well. I think that's all. I'll leave us a 5-star rating and review on, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can. Just do it. It'd be amazing. Or leave us a 5-star review and just a scathing review. I think that's a really funny way to do it.
Be as mean as you want.
I think that's pretty funny.
Just give us 5 stars. Be as mean as you want, but 5 stars, please.
Exactly. Nash. Normally, I would tell Sarge to say goodbye and I love you to the audience, but do you want to do the honor of saying goodbye and I love you to the audience?
Goodbye, I love you.